Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be digitizing another custom file. It's basically just a very simple beginner level design. It's not too complex, but I'm not gonna lie, it's probably gonna take me like 5 minutes to make this. Definitely gonna need some touching up on some parts that may have excess nodes, but for the most part, some things are just going to take a second and you're going to see how it can be done so fast. So once you get to this page, you're essentially just going to put as few amount of numbers in this box here because you only have like two colors there. I see gold, I see white, and I see the background is black. So you're really just going to go up until you see the colors that are appropriate. You don't need 20, you just need 3. So then from there, you're just going to click on the second flower on the left hand side, and clicking on the second flower will allow you to pick out the colors. If you click on the first flower, it's just going to digitize it like right away for you. You're not going to get a chance to pick out what color you want. So being able to pick out the color you want will allow you to omit the background and not have that digitize. So now from here, I'm basically just going to assess the mess and figure out what part I need to delete and recreate on my own because it just did not do what I expected it to do. And I decided to delete some of the gold that digitized because I was not liking the way it came out. And after I deleted that, I decided to go ahead and touch up some of the white pieces of the design and make sure that the nodes and the angles are appropriate for this shape. And here I am basically just messing with the angle. I'm trying to see how I can make this part of the design stitch out the best way possible. And I felt like it needed 2 different stitch angles, but the software was starting to give me such a hard time. So I had to zoom in a little bit and kind of just go into a more serious mode and figure out how these nodes needed to be in order for this to stitch out properly. Sometimes you just have to move the nodes around until it looks how you intended it to look. And now that I've adjusted some of the things in the white thread color, I'm going to just move on to the gold and start figuring that out and see how I would like that to stitch out. I'm debating if I want it to be tatami or satin, but I think satin would probably look the best, honestly, in this case. If you notice that when I click on the fill, it's actually digitizing all around this entire piece of like swirl, I guess you could call it. So here comes my favorite tool. The knife basically is the best thing to use to detach certain parts that are connected to one another in the software. So something as simple as using that tool can reduce your digitizing time down by a lot, that's for sure. And essentially, I'm just going to do the same thing that I did with the first swoosh to the second one and reduce the node count, smooth the shapes out, and underneath the edit objects button, you'll find the knife object, and then you'll be able to disconnect the parts of the design that you do not want to connect. And sometimes if you zoom in, you'll see that there are an excessive amount of nodes. Don't be afraid to delete those because again, they are not necessary. So now the only thing left to do to adjust these two aspects of the design is to adjust the stitch angle. Please comment and let me know if you also have trouble with the software. For some reason, whenever I click on the two orange squares to adjust the stitch angle, it will literally only let me move it one stitch angle at a time. So it's slowly going from 30 to 31 to 32 to 35. But before, I would be able to click on the orange square and move it all around the software like seamlessly. You know what I'm talking about. So if you have a hack for that, please let me know because I cannot figure out how to get that to not do that, and it's quite annoying. So now I'm just working my way back to another part of the design that I was tending to before, but I was feeling a bit overwhelmed, so I decided to just come back to it. And here we are, we're back at it. So basically, again, I'm just moving the nodes around in a way to achieve how I would like it to stitch out. So you're really just using the background image as a guide for where the nodes are meant to be placed, and then adding nodes, deleting nodes when they're excessive, and adding nodes to create a shape that is more, applicable to the original image. So yeah, and now I'm just gonna go back in and, touch up some final things, switch some object properties over to satin instead of tatami because sometimes it just looks a little bit neater. And now that everything is just about done, it's time to start thinking about your hoop size. So if you have a 5x7 hoop, you don't want to exceed 6.850 inches in width if the design allows for it. So this design is a lot wider than it is tall, so therefore you would want to put 6.850 in the width rather than the height because it is wider than it is tall. And then once you download it to your laptop, just make sure you put 5x7 next to the title just so you can know that it's the right size. There's also a ton of different file types that Hatch offers, so it really just depends on the machine that you're using. So in this case, I have a Brother machine, so I'm going to be using a PES 5x7 file. Thank you guys so much for watching this YouTube video. Please like, comment, and share, and let me know what you'd like to see me digitize next. Bye guys!